Please keep in mind, I will be making forward-looking statements and consult the relevant guidance. First, a couple of words about copper. The demand for copper over the next years, if not decades, will be driven primarily by the green revolution and the net zero carbon transition. There are barely any technologies that underpin this green revolution that are not very copper intensive and much more copper intensive than the technologies they replace. For example, electrical cars take 3, 4, 5 times as much copper as a conventional car. The solar energy, wind energy, renewable energy is very, very copper intensive, much more so than the coal-fired or gas-fired plants that they will replace. And with now 80% of the world economy on a net zero carbon target, there is no question that we will be seeing very strong demand for copper over many years. This is a real global mega trend. And lots of copper will be needed to make this green transition. However, if you look at the supply side, the picture there is very different. The slide here on the left, the graph, shows a forecast by Goldman Sachs, and there are many other analysts with very similar forecasts. And Goldman predicts a copper demand supply gap of 8 million tons by 2030. That is in a market of just over 30 million tons, so a really significant supply demand gap. There are other analysts that have 5 million tons of a deficit, others have 9. I don't know how much it will be, but it's very evident that there is not enough copper to supply the green revolution. And the reason there you really see on the slide on the right side, which shows the copper discoveries over the last decade, since 1990. And the trend there is very striking in that, particularly in the last decade, there have simply been very, very few discoveries and no major discoveries. And given it takes 10, 20 years from discoveries to when a mine is built, we know already now that in the next 10 years, there will not be any big copper mines, big new copper mines coming on stream. And that is in an environment where there is a very strong demand and very little supply. It's quite clear more copper will be needed to feed the green transition. And that really is what Kodiak's business is. Couple of words about the people behind the company. I mentioned already Chris Taylor, the founder and chairman of Kodiak. Chris is a very creative geologist. He leads our technical work. And Chris obviously is just off his great success with Great Bear, our sister company. And what he did at Great Bear, essentially he took a project that was unloved. Many others had looked at it and couldn't figure it out. And he took a new approach, and the rest is history, a major discovery success. And Kodiak is a little bit of a similar story. Our project, MPD, has also been explored in the past. And Chris looked at it with a fresh set of eyes and tried a different approach. And that's what led to our discovery. So Chris is a very important part of our team. Myself, my background is more on the financial and commercial side. I've been now in resources for over 20 years, and almost 10 of those with Rio Tinto, and mostly in roles such as business development, business evaluation, M&A, strategy. So our backgrounds, Chris and myself, are very complementary. Chris really covers the technical side. Myself is more the financial commercial side. And then last but not least, John Robbins is also an important part of our team. Many of you will know John. He's a well-known mining entrepreneur with many successes to his name. And John has put together the Discovery Group, of which we are part. You see here the various companies in the group. It is a loose alliance of companies. We all work out of the same office, and it's a fantastic group to be part of. Lots of synergies in terms of costs, in terms of expertise, etc., and also just a lot of credibility. The Discovery Group has been around for many years. Not every company gets to be part of it. And from an investor's perspective, it just also gives you some confidence that the group companies and Kodiak is a well-run company and a good project. So that's the corporate side of things. I'll talk now more about our MPD project, where we made our discovery. And to start, I have a short video that gives an overview.
Kodiak Copper is located in British Columbia's prolific copper belt known as the Quesnel Trough, which runs through the south of the province. Kodiak has caught the market's attention with a new copper-gold discovery at its MPD project.
MPD is very accessible. It's a 3-hour drive from Vancouver near the towns of Merritt and Princeton. Infrastructure and accessibility is obviously very important for economic potential and future development. What's great about the MPD project is its location. We are here in southern BC, where you can work year-round, and in a very established mining area. There are a number of large mines nearby, for example, Copper Mountain, or also Highland Valley, New Afton. So it's a very established mining area, and everything you need for an exploration project is right at our fingertips, which makes our work very cost-effective.
One of the things I noticed when we were reviewing the MPD project initially was the presence of copper oxides over many kilometers on surface. So what it indicated was that we were sitting on top of a major porphyry system, and certainly the right type of rocks that indicated that there could be a major discovery to be made. This project has the potential to host a major copper porphyry discovery. And of course, with the drilling that we've done recently, we've shown that that's the case. Now, on initial review of this project, what was really impressive is that we had over 100 drill holes over 10 kilometers, and all of these holes have copper in them. And when we're looking at the rock, we saw the right types of rocks and the right types of features that indicated we could be sitting on top of a major copper system.
The MPD project was drilled historically since the 60s, so for over 50 years. And most of this historic drilling was very shallow, almost all only down to between 100 and 200 meters. And that is where we saw the opportunity. So we drilled deeper, we drilled down to over 800 meters, and that's where we got our first discovery hole right here at this location. It was a hole that was mineralized top to bottom and had in the middle a very nice high-grade zone. That was the first time that we saw that in this large porphyry system there are higher grade zones present.
This is some of the best looking drill core that has been drilled in this part of British Columbia. Now we're located here, we're in Merritt, and that means that in all the areas around us we have copper mines in both directions. What you typically see in this region is about 1/3 of the grade. The grade that we've drilled here on the copper and the gold side is 3 or 4 times higher than many of the mines in this area. The types of alteration that we see, the potassic feldspar alteration, the silicification, the presence of chalcopyrite, the presence of bornite, these are all indicative features of a strongly mineralized copper center.
We've made a great start and had some fantastic high-grade results early on in our drill program. We have now gained Teck Resources as a major shareholder. So now we have our work cut out. We have a large 10 square kilometer area of historic drilling and have only poked deeper holes into one small corner of it. That means lots more drilling to come and lots more potential for our shareholders to be unlocked. It'll be an exciting time for Kodiak going forward.
Here is the map of where MPD is located. We are in southern British Columbia in a mining district. It's a 3-hour drive from Vancouver, very accessible. You literally turn onto the project right off the highway and 5 minutes drive on a logging road and you're there. Being in a mining area is obviously a big advantage. All the infrastructure is there, which makes for very cost-effective exploration. and also looking into the future, this will be a very big difference maker, because building an economic mine in an established mining region where we are is a whole lot easier, and the hurdle to make a project economic is a whole lot lower than if you are in a more remote location in the north or in the high Andes or anything like that. So location was really one of the key attributes that attracted us to the project initially and why we acquired it. As I mentioned in the video, the project was drilled in the past, and there are 3 points I would like to highlight about this historic drilling. One is that it showed copper over a large area. So in total, 14 square kilometers of historically drilled copper near surface. So big footprint, which indicates big system. And that, again, was something we really liked when we initially acquired the project. What's important to understand about the historic exploration is that that wasn't one company or program exploring, but it was a real patchwork. Many different companies over the span of many decades, since the 60s, and always only on small land packages. Kodiak, for the first time, is in a position to have the consolidated land package, and that puts us in a position where we can put in place a comprehensive exploration strategy, and that really was the first step to our success. You can imagine if, like in the past, you only have a small land package on top of a big system, you can't really make the most of it. And really the fact that we were able to acquire the consolidated package is a very important point to highlight. And then lastly, the historic exploration was shallow on average. Each hole was only 120 meters in length. And that is where we took a different approach. When I said before, Chris Taylor sort of looked at the project differently, his interpretation essentially was that the historic drilling didn't reach deep enough to reach higher grade zones. So that's what we tried for. We drilled deeper and it worked right away. We made our discovery with our maiden drill program. This is the discovery hole. It was a real game changer for Kodiak. That's now just over 2 years ago. We saw a big jump in our share price at the time when we came out with this result and raised then $12.7 million. Tech Resources came in and invested $8 million, became our largest shareholder. And that again led to a big jump, another big jump in our share price, because obviously the market saw that as a big seal of approval. Tech is a very large company. They wouldn't invest in the project if they didn't think it has the potential to be a big project. So what did we drill at the time? 535 meters of 0.76% copper equivalent. So nice, long, high-grade intercept at the gate zone, as the discovery is called. And that really set us in motion. We have been drilling lots and lots ever since. The last 2 years, 2 big drill programs, 50,000 meters in total, approximately. And these 2 maps show where we got to. On the left, you see where we were at the gate zone just after we made the initial discovery. And then on the right, that's where we are now with the results to date. So we've been very successful in expanding the gate zone. This sort of red dotted corridor shows the area over which we have drilled high-grade mineralization. And this corridor has now been expanded to over 1 kilometer in length. We have drilled down and intercepted mineralization to a depth of 900 meters and across 350 meters approximately. So if you picture these dimensions, 1 kilometer in length, almost 1 kilometer in depth, and 350 meters across, that is already quite sizable. We're very pleased with the size and size potential we are seeing here, and certainly very satisfied with the progress we have made at the gate zone. Last year, we also discovered a parallel zone called the prime zone, which is slightly smaller and but also very promising, where we have some results so far and more results to come. And then late last year, we also discovered or announced the discovery of a high-grade buyer zone, which is a high-grade precious metal zone near surface that we discovered in trenching. So quite some success last year. And what's very important to understand going forward, that the gate zone, our main discovery so far, our first discovery, is only one of several targets on the property which each have equally as much discovery potential as gate. What we have at MPD is a multi-centered porphyry system. So we have multiple intrusions. Gate is the first one we drilled. And now this year will be a very exciting year for our shareholders, because we will take the approach from Gate and replicate it at multiple other targets with the aim to discover the next and the next gate zone. This map shows a little bit what we have in store this year. You see on the left our property as it stands. The yellow stars are the discoveries we've made so far. Gate, which we have drilled already quite a significant amount. Prime, which will need more work. Buyer as well. We made the first discovery last year and we'll certainly do more work there this year. And then all these red stars are other porphyry targets that have been drilled in the past, only shallow, never been tested deeper. Plus, there are other targets that we have now generated with our prospecting work over the last 2 years, sorry. In this map on the right, you see a zoom in on just the northern portion of our property. And you have here our existing discoveries, Gate, Prime, and Buyer. And these white areas are areas that are slated for drilling this year. Man, Dillard, Dillard West. We have a new area here, blue. And as I said, we have other targets in the southern part of the property that we will also drill. So lots of discovery potential. And it should be a very exciting year coming up for our shareholders. Last but not least, our capital structure. Couple of points to highlight. We are a tightly held company, 55 million shares outstanding and no warrants. Many of our shareholders really like that. We have at the moment around a share price of around $1 or just below, so 50 million market cap. And we have 7 million of cash in the treasury, so are well funded for the work that we have planned this year and are under no pressure to finance, which is a good situation to be in. Management and insiders own about 9% of the company, so skin in the game. And Tech Resources, as I said, is our largest shareholder with 9.9% of the share capital. They invested right after the discovery in 2020, 8 million. And last year, when we financed, they invested again another 2 million to maintain their 9.9% shareholding. So they are very supportive shareholder and great partner to have in the fold. We have one bank and analyst, independent analyst that covers us, that's Corp. I believe their target price at this point is $3, so significantly higher than what we're trading at. You see our stock price here at the bottom. On the left here, that is the spike when we made the initial discovery at the gate zone. And you see where we are now, below that level for sure. And this year, as I said, is the year where we will take our successful approach from the gate zone and drill several other targets with the aim to make one or several more discoveries at MPD and generate more of these spikes and more excitement in the market for our shareholders and investors. So that's Kodiak in a nutshell. If you have questions, I would be very happy to answer them and discuss further.
Thank you, Claudia, for the great presentation. We currently don't have any question in the Q&A box or in the chat, so I invite anyone to please write them directly. You have the chance to chat with Claudia right now, so please ask question, or if you have questions later, you do have the contact details on the screen right now. You can either scan the QR code or get a phone, email, website. You have absolutely everything you need. And if you're a school, you even have the address to send a personalized letter. So that being said, Claudia, let's go back a bit. Let's discuss a bit more about maybe first the copper scarcity that's coming. What type of capex are looking for copper project? They're usually very big. How fast can we put that into obviously some new project into production? And then where do you fit within all of that?
Well, copper porphyries are big projects. That's why majors like them, because they are big mines that produce for many decades and are a major's game at the end of the day, with the capex to build a mine anywhere from $500 million to many billions. They have long development times. That's why now we know already, as I said, that for the next 10 years or so, there will not be a major copper mine coming on stream, because if it's not discovered now, it will not be producing in 10 years' time. That's why really more discoveries are needed to power the green transition. And as I said, porphyries are a major's game. I don't think there is a single porphyry mine that is mined, built by the junior that discovered it. And for us, a likely scenario, if we keep having success, is similar to our sister company, Great Bear, that eventually a major will come and take interest and want to acquire the project.
Absolutely. And on that, you said something interesting. Obviously, we're talking about discovery to miner to process about 10 years or so. There used to be a saying in the mining industry that basically the massive discovery had to wait a full cycle before coming in production. Do you see that because of the EV transition, because of the need of the copper, to actually see a project like yours coming into production within the same mining cycle, within the same copper price cycle?
Look, if we want to build more electric vehicles and more wind turbines and solar panels, there's no question that a lot of copper will be needed. And there will be new projects needed because the current pipeline just isn't there. So I am very confident that there will be a lot of demand for good copper exploration projects to be progressed very fast and to be brought into production over the next couple of years, just to fill that void that is between demand and supply that we currently see.
And I guess this is what people saw. So when your share price spiked from that 100 meter at a one, well, including 100 meter about at 1% drill hole discovery. Stefan is asking when you expect the first results from the new drilling zone.
Well, we still have some results to come from the drilling we did last year. So that should be the next batch relatively soon. We also did a big prospecting program again last year, as in previous years, with sampling, geophysics, etc., to generate new targets and define and prioritize existing targets. So that work we also will press release and then lay out what our plans are for this year's drilling. So that's the next of catalysts and news that are coming up. And we are ready to start drilling again. Drill start is planned for March, as in previous years. And a similar size program as in previous years is planned, 25,000 meters or thereabouts. And so from early summer on, we'll then have the new results coming in from this year's drilling. So we have sort of a regular flow of news, because we are more or less drilling the whole years, except for a short period over the coldest month.
Perfect. Well, as a closing comment, I wish you and your shareholders not just one, but quite a few discoveries, as you hint. Maybe this is always a great thing to have. Obviously, this is forward-looking statement. No one knows if there will be some made, but obviously, I think it would be a tremendously hyping moment for you and the company. So, Claudia, thank you again for being with us at the IIF, and we'll continue following the success story of Kodiak Copper.
Thank you very much.